Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk. I'm Crystal.
I'm Carol.
She's got a headache.
Yeah, good. Try not to look at lights.
I know. She's got a headache, so she's trying to not look at the lights tonight. But we have had a busy few weeks since our last podcast. It has been so busy that I didn't even put makeup on tonight. I did curl my hair, but that's about all you get tonight. No makeup. What you see is what you get. But we have been nonstop planning and getting things ready for some events that we have coming up. We've got some last minute additions. We're going to take the month off of for June and just visit around with friends and go to some events. Well, that did not stay. So we are going to be ending the month off with the Haunted Fairbanks House private investigation. We will be there with our Louisiana Spirits family, the Southeast chapter. So we will be working on that the 29th. So we will let you guys know what we capture. I have been working nonstop on the history of this location and digging into some of the archives. So that's going to be a really great event. This was on an episode of Dead Files back in 2016, I think it was. So
season 6, episode 6.
Yeah, season 6, episode 6, and it has since changed hands and has new owners. It will be opening up eventually as an Airbnb, but they want us to come in and do some investigating and see what we capture. So we do have that to end the June month that was added this past week. Then we will be in Paragould, Arkansas, July 12th through the 14th at Scared City Presents High On Nation with Santiago Cirillo, Tony Moran, Keith Age is going to be there. So a lot of awesome people. That's just the beginning. It's going to be, I think the 11th, we have a slasher party. No, I think it's the 11th. The 11th, we have a slasher party. The 12th, we have Inhumane Wrestling. Then we have 13th and the 14th with the horror show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited about that. And we still have tickets available for our St. John Theater investigation with Louisiana Spirits and Quest True Crime Podcast. Misty's going to be there with us. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you grab your tickets for that. And let's keep going. We'll be at Haunted Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon, October 5th. We have a lot of awesome people from the South going up there, and our Get Haunted family will be there. Our Paraflix family will be there. So make sure you guys come up there and support the Haunted Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon. And then we just listed this week 2 more dates for Blakely State Park. On October the 12th, we will be investigating the battlefield again. This is going to be a great time for anyone who wants to investigate this battlefield because we are the only ones that are available to take you out there at night. So this is going to be a fun event. And then we will also have one at the Old Town Center as well. And once we get that date locked in, we will release more information on those. And the tickets are available on Historic Blakely State Park website right now. And then we currently have a raffle going on. Carol has been working nonstop with her little fingers, and we'll be releasing our new REM pods very soon. We will let you know where you can purchase them at, but it'll be easier than it was before for you to get these. We aren't just going to have them at Paracons anymore. So it'll be super easy, but currently we do have a raffle. It's $5 per ticket. Just choose your number and which color you want to put that on. And we will be raffling those off as soon as the numbers fill up. And then we're already booking into next year for Cajun Country Paracon. It's going to be an amazing time. We had a blast there this year. Anybody who goes down to Cajun Country, you come back fed, you come back happy and in such a great mood.
Fat and happy.
Back happy. And we just let the good times roll down there. So we will be back at Cajun Country Paracon in 2025. And we will also be having a ghost hunting on a budget and REM pod workshop. And those tickets for the REM pod workshop and ghost hunting on a budget are already on sale. So you can grab those tickets on our link tree. So without further ado, we have been waiting for a while to bring our guest on tonight. We got the chance to meet her last year in my hometown of Ozark, Alabama at Deep South Paracon. So tonight we have our awesome friend, Miranda Young, Ghost Biker, is here with us. Yay!
Hey. Yeah, thank you all so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
We've already got Sonia here.
Yay! It's a party.
Yay! It has been a lot of fun, getting to know you guys and just having, a great time. And my lighting is just awful tonight. Carol, it wasn't good for you to tell me to go blue. So you guys, just so you know.
Well, it looked like somebody punched you in the cheeks earlier.
I know. We're going to go back. Woo! We're going to go back to my my natural colors here. So it has been, I think, an amazing year. You guys have been so busy between, all of your tours and your historic tours and the, guided ghost adventures and all these things that you guys have going on. So it has been awesome to see all of even the new places that you have now that people can come and grab tickets. And so let's jump right on in and tell people about the locations and what they can expect. Because I know we got a lot of our friends on here, but let's talk about Miranda. Let's see what you've had going on since we saw you last year.
Yeah, so it's been a lot. A lot of people, if you a lot of people first saw me from my show, Ghost Biker Explorations. I've been doing that. We're rolling into the 7th season now, and so through that, I met my best friend, and we formed a business called History, Highways, and Haunts back in September of 2021. And we ended up opening the historic Scott County Jail, which is here in my hometown of Scott County here in Huntsville, Tennessee. And so to date, we've been open for going on 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And we've had about 150 teams that have come in and investigated, spent the night there. But we've got it set up as a true crime museum as well as a paranormal research center. So we have something for everybody. True crime is something that's really big right now. And if you come in during the day, you're going to get a deep dive into the history. You're going to learn about a lot of Scott County true crime. But then if you stay into the evening, you're going to get to do our flashlight tours, our guided ghost hunts, or if you're part of a team, you can do one of our private paranormal investigations. Yeah. And so we were trucking along with that, and we got to talking. We were looking at expanding. This was something that was kind of in the works from the very beginning when we opened the jail. We reached out to the village of Historic Rugby, which is about 20 miles from here, and it's an old Victorian utopian society. And so we reached out to them. They weren't doing any after dark programming around the year, except for just at Halloween. They had a Edged in Black series that they did, as well as a cemetery tour that they did twice a month there during the month of October. And so we reached out to them. They liked what we were doing with the jail, and they said, it's something that you can be doing year round, not just during the month of October. Mm-hmm. And so we formed a partnership with them. And so we host and do all of their after dark programming, everything from lantern tours to guided ghost hunts to private investigations there at the jail. So, there at the village. At the village. So for all that, between both of those locations, as well as the my show, Ghost Biker Explorations, we're pretty busy. And then also doing a weekly podcast there from
Mhm.
not only the jail, but then also from the Ghost Biker Garage as well.
I know it's. I mean, you guys are busy, busy.
Yeah.
You know, and I know I've sent a couple teams over to the rugby one. They, you know, wanted a place where they could find something close by where they could spend the night and then be able to do the, you know, the ghost hunt and tours and paranormal investigations as well. So, and they had an amazing time. They absolutely loved it. They said they can't wait to come back. So we've heard amazing things. Now for us just to get up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here, you know, constantly like, when can we get north? You know, because we have been talking about a year. I know even in February, Sonia, we were talking about getting up there and planning something. You know, it's just, I think when we get down to it, we're just all getting pulled in so many different directions these days. So
It is, yeah.
we will definitely have to get that on the calendar and get up there because, you know, it seems like it just spend a whole week, you know, just come up there and just spend the whole week up there in the hills and have some fun times. But
Well,
yeah,
that's the good thing about the location because, you know, here with the jail, it's a little bit harder because, you know, we're very, very rural up here. And so there's not a lot of places to spend the night. There is a hotel that is about 2 miles from the jail. There's quite a few Airbnbs, but not a lot of places to stay. And a lot of the time we're utilized as kind of a pass-through location when people are traveling, like to say Brushy Mountain, because it's 45 minutes from here. The old Harriman Hospital, same thing, 45 minutes from here. But we wanted to make it more of a destination location. And so, being that we've opened up rugby, you can actually stay at rugby and investigate the village, and you can also investigate the jail since it's so close. And it just kind of works that instead of just passing through, maybe you can come and spend the full weekend here.
Yeah. I think that's what, you know, I would enjoy them, you know, just getting in there and, you know, being able to, because I know even last year, when we were looking at coming in and looking at, you know, locations, because we always like to stay in a historic location in a historic Airbnb. So we were looking for locations close to the jail, and that's when you told us that there was rugby and that they would be opening up places for us to stay if we chose that. And it's beautiful location. So we really, really cannot wait to get up there. It is just phenomenal. So I sit there and look at all the pictures and I'm constantly going, it's peaceful. It seems very peaceful.
It is. It is. And we're right here in the middle of the Big South Fork National River and Recreation Area. And so if you love the outdoors, then you can go hiking during the day. Rugby itself has several hiking trails. And you can also tour several of the locations there at Rugby that we aren't able to go in at night, like the church that's there. It's an amazingly beautiful location, but we don't have that open for the after dark. So you can come and do the day tours.
And say hiking trails are great as long as they're not bike trails.
Yeah.
She was traumatized on bike trails. She can't do bike trails.
Gotcha.
She has bike trail PTSD.
What had happened was we seen Cannonball Trail, you know, so I'm thinking to myself that this is another location to another part of the battlefield, right? I mean, it just makes sense. Cannonball Trail. No, it was a bike trail.
Okay.
And this is in the wintertime, you know, these children need to go to school. Okay. They shouldn't be in February out here running amok in a state park. And so these teenagers, I'm like, it's cold. Why are there snakes out here? Because, you know,
it sounded like snakes.
It sounded like a snake out there. Like sounded like a rattler. And I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, it's a rattlesnake. And I go running. And I'm old now. Okay. I can't get scared. So that's all I'll say. I can't get scared, but it was a cold ride back. We'll put it that way. So that's her inside joke.
Yeah.
You know, we're not young anymore.
Right.
Not young anymore. PTSD.
Well, and there's so much to do up here. Lots of beauty to see and do if you're here for the weekend. And you know, just taking in, there's so much history as well. If if you were to come up for that. Plus, we've expanded. We're
Mhm.
getting moved into. We got access to the bank building, which is there
Mhm.
in the square
nice.
as well.
Yeah.
And so we're in the process of getting our point of sale over there, our gift shop over there. We're crossing our fingers and hoping in the next 2 weeks that
Okay.
we'll officially be in there. And so that's going to open up some new
Oh,
opportunities
yeah.
for
Yeah, for sure.
investigators at the jail.
Definitely.
Because currently, whenever you investigate the jail, we stay on site, but we lock ourselves there in the gift shop. And the gift shop is an extremely haunted area.
Yeah.
And we've just, we're on there. We say we're on site, but out of sight. You don't even, after we give the tour, you don't even know we're there.
Yeah.
But what this is going to do is this is going to actually open up. The bank is 2 buildings down from the jail. So we'll be opening up this large area of the gift shop,
Wow.
and we will be at the bank building. And so investigators will get a little more privacy, a little more time there alone in the jail. And
Yeah.
there's just something about that, that's just a more of a creep factor
Yeah.
whenever you're in a location completely by yourself versus if you know that there's somebody. So we're close enough so to still be on site and out of sight.
And that I think is, it's a it makes your mind, it opens up some things in there because you're like, wow, this is real. The people who are here the
Yeah.
most are no longer in this building, and
Exactly.
I am here by myself.
Mhm.
So that to me, I mean, I know, with me and Carol, we spend a lot of our time alone in locations, just the two of us, or, if we have someone else, it'll be 3 to 4 people, but we don't have like a lot like the poly jail that we do the most in Union Springs, Alabama. There is no electricity there. There is no running water there. When you're there, you're there. Like you have to, we have access to a location to, for potty breaks, but that's about it. And when the town shuts down, it shuts down.
Yeah.
So, we understand that feeling that people get being in a location, and not having someone watching you and watching that camera. We actually talked about it on HCP last
Well, and
night.
that's the thing. We don't watch a camera when you're there because we don't want to interfere. So we've got, security cameras in there, but we actually turn those off so that they don't interfere
So
with
there's
the
no
investigators.
interference. Yeah,
No
nice.
infrared, no interference. But with our lease with the town, we had to be on site. Somebody has to be there. It's not that we can just turn the keys over. And plus, since we're a working museum, it's and have
A lot of
true crime
liabilities,
stuff
things,
in there. Yeah. So somebody being at least, on the property is something that we definitely have
That's
to have.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we've talked about, I know on a few other podcasts and even on your show, you've talked about the jail. But tell people a little bit about the history of the Scotts County Jail and some of the people that have spent some time there.
Yeah, for a small county jail in the middle of East Tennessee, it's got a very big history to it, and it's quite an active location. So the jail was built in 1904 and in operation until 2008. After it closed down in 2008, it sat vacant until 2017 when Scott County gave it to the town of Huntsville. Town of Huntsville got a $75,000 tourism grant, which was earmarked for window repair, heating and cooling units, as well as paint.
That's awesome.
And so they went in, they did that. The mayor of Huntsville is just extremely, interested, and the importance of historic preservation and restoration is something that was extremely important to him. He didn't really know what he wanted to do with the jail, but he knew that he wanted to preserve it. So that tourism grant, went a long ways in doing that. But they still didn't have a plan for it, if you will, after they got the grant. So it still continued to sit vacant from 17 up until 2021, whenever we approached the town about opening it as the True Crime Museum and Paranormal Research Center. We got in and went to work. When people come, some of the local people, they think, oh, we've been in there before, but there's a lot of history and a lot of memorabilia, a lot of archived things that we have in there. So you get to see more than just the jail whenever you come in. But we've had everything from an unsolved murder of one of our sheriffs, and he is very active there at the jail. We get both residual and intelligent activity. We've even caught a couple shadow figure pictures and video of someone, and we believe it is Sheriff Richard Ellis, because the shadow figure is just under 7 feet tall, and he was 6'8". Also, several of the trigger items that we have that we used, he was a Baptist preacher. And so old hymns is something that does tend to bring out activity. And then also the drunk tanks, that area, he's very active in that area. He ran under the stance that he was going to abolish moonshine. And so he put a target on his back right there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so he kind of hangs out around the drunk tank area, keeping an eye out there. But we get a lot of both residual and intelligent activity from him. Also, in this area, we have something called Mob Mountain Justice up here, and so several of our inmates, we've had 6 in total that we have record of that were taken out of the jail via lynch mobs and lynched or executed at different parts of the property. Each one of these folks, our last lynch mob did happen in 1933, and basically mobs of anywhere from 25 to 50 people would mask up, disguise themselves, and come in and take over the jail from the jailer and his family, going in and taking their inmates out and then executing them. Now, we do believe that there was more than just the 6. However, authenticity and history is something that's really important to us. So we like to be able to validate and verify what we're telling people. So these are the 6 that we actually have the death certificates and all of the newspaper articles in the jail about these lynchings that did take place. You get a lot of speculation over the years of things that have happened, but again, we really try to stick to what we can validate and show you in the history. So we've had those happen. We also have had quite a few natural deaths that did occur in there, either strokes, heart attacks. We know of 6 different suicides that did take place in there. And, yeah, it is very active. And really up from about 1904 until probably the 60s, maybe the 70s, most of our offenders were either moonshiners or drugs, that sort of thing. But we've had, murderers. We've had, people who have done some very violent, heinous crimes that were housed in there. Most of them would have been sent after they got their day in court. They would have been sent to Brushy Mountain or Morgan County Correctional Facility or Nashville State Prison. But we did have at least 2 inmates that we know of that did serve long-term sentences out there who were murderers, but they were kept in there because one of them, for instance, he was a master mechanic. And so he ended up saving the county a lot of money. They even built a little garage in the back, and he maintained the vehicles. And so he was in there for murdering his wife, and he was in there for 7 years. So we did have some long-term offenders in there as well. But it's it's really quite amazing once you start looking at the history and then start verifying it by some of the different activity that we get. It's really quite amazing that such a small location could pack such a big punch.
Yeah,
that's our favorite part is, we deep dive into the historical aspects of every location that we like. You give me the location and I'm on it, and we make these group chats and we're like, all right, Crystal's got a ping going on because there's always something that I'm looking for. But you have that to go back on to be able to confirm during your investigation or try to confirm during your investigations the information that you have.
Yeah, and a couple really interesting things that have happened in there the last probably over the last 2 years is that we've actually gotten responses that we've been able to go back, and it's actually given us answers to some of the history that we have. And a perfect example of that. So speaking of the lynchings that we had, our last lynchings took place in 1933,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Jerome Boyett and Harvey Winchester. And now I'm just going to add, because the South kind of has a reputation. Each of these lynchings, none of these were racial related lynching. They were just basically someone had committed a crime against someone else's family, and the family got, or it's thought allegedly that the family could have been some of the people who went in and enacted their own justice.
Yeah.
And so, so our last lynching, Jerome Boyett, Harvey Winchester, Jerome, they were both in there because for unrelated crimes, but they had both essentially killed sheriffs or deputies in their crimes. And so they were essentially both cop killers. But there is a book that came out about it 2 years ago by the author J.H. Gason called Quest for Rome. And it talks about these lynchings as well as the Coal Creek Wars that led up to all of this. And so the story is told by a fictional character called oh gosh, now I'm going blank. Yeah, I know. I just completely Anvil Clemens. Sorry about that. So when you read the book, the story is told by a guy named Anvil Clemens. So this is actually a copyright character. The guy is real, but the name has been changed. And so we got the book early. The book had not come out yet. And so we got it that weekend. Chris and I were looking at it, kind of reading through it a little bit. And it's like, Anvil, that's an interesting name. We left it at that, because we literally just got the book. And so later that weekend, we had a paranormal team come in, and they were out of Kentucky. And so as they were doing their investigation, they were using the Ovilus 5, and they got the word anvil 3 times in our downstairs main museum room over by the door. Now, the guy came to me, and of course, a lot of the time when the night's over, we'll have people, that will either tell us things that happened or they'll ask us, hey, we got this. Do you know what this could be? And so he said, we got the word anvil 3 times, and we've never gotten a word like that, in that much in a succession during an investigation. And so he said, was somebody, was it a weapon? What was this? And I said, well, I don't know, but I grabbed the book that we had and I showed him, and I said, I'm gonna reach out to the author. And so the author, like, he was just dumbstruck, really, whenever I told him this. And he said, what's interesting about this is, he said, the jailer that was on duty the night of the lynchings was named Ethan Laxton. And he was beat so bad at the front doorway that he got the nickname Anvil, because they said it looked like he had been beat like an anvil. And so that's why he named the character Anvil. And so and he did it as a copyright because he knew that way if somebody tried to, steal his work or whatever, that was a name he had specifically given. Well, anyways, so I tell him about this, and or tell the team about this, and it honestly made the author a believer, because he was someone who, he said he did not believe in the paranormal, but this just really kind of struck him. And because there's no way anyone would have known this, because the book hadn't even come out yet. We just had the proofreading copy. And 2, the way it's written, it's not really written that you would know that Anvil was the jailer, the way it was written. So Anvil was actually his great grandfather, and that was why he was telling that from that perspective.
That's pretty awesome.
It was an interesting thing. And we find a lot that our spirits who are at the jail, if you just sit and listen to them and not interrogate them, but really kind of cut up with them and have a conversation, they've got a lot of history and stories that they'll share. And that's just one example of us being able to go back and
They
actually
probably read the book while you guys had walked out and were like, let's just read this. Let's thumb through
probably.
it.
Well,
What's
and
correct in here?
yeah, well, that, and I mean, you know, because it happened right there at the front door where all the violence
That's
and
what I
all
was
that negative energy was. Yeah, it was probably just really filling in the blanks, you
Yeah.
know, letting us know that it's like, hey, you know, because the way they talked whenever he was beat, I mean, there was blood all over the walls because, I mean, he was literally beat to a pulp. And yeah, so our spirits, they're very aware and they are, you know, very intelligent. And so they'll talk about the articles. There's a couple articles in there that they do like to talk about. When we're doing our flashlight tours, there's a couple stories that they'll light up on with K2 meters, regardless of where we're telling the story. I guess they're kind of saying, hey, you know, that's either right or wrong, or sometimes they're laughing whenever we're kind of joking about stuff. But they'll they'll talk about what you're wearing, and they'll talk about, you know, things that are going on. We had a flashlight tour, and a mother and son was walking around the jailer's walk, and they kind of, one was walking in one direction and one in the other, and of course they were in the dark. They crashed into each other and screamed.
Oh,
And as
wow.
soon as it happened, our Ovilus 5 yells out, surprise, you know. So they'll talk about that all the time, and they'll laugh when the investigators jump at stuff. It's so funny, and they'll even acknowledge it. They'll say jumped. You know, we've had several teams talk about that. So when
That's
they get
awesome.
interesting stuff on their
That's
spirit box, their apps, or their Ovilus, or what have you, we always tell them, you know, if it doesn't seem like it makes sense, you know, look at what's going on around you
it.
and look at the articles around you, because a lot of the time they're trying to direct you to either read something or to look at something. It's really an interesting phenomena that I've never experienced. But of course, when you're in a place for, you know, every day for up to 16 hours a day, you can kind of start looking at trends, and you can kind of
Yeah.
start looking at what people get. So it's
Yeah.
really fascinating.
So is there, you know, like when you were there by yourself, or you and Chris are there, are they the type that like to, you know, touch your shoulder?
I remember
you
seeing
know?
the one video, or the video camcorder, where something happened to you, and was it in the office?
Yeah, that was one of the first things. We caught some disembodied voices on
Mhm.
there. You know, when, you know, this was, I think, after our first or second team had investigated, and I had stepped out in the hall. The team had been gone for about 30 minutes, so it was about 3:30 in the morning, and I had stepped out to lock everything up, put stuff away, and I heard a man humming up on the steps. And it went for about 3 seconds. He clears his throat and then goes for another 3 seconds. So it kind of startled me when it happened. I was not expecting it. And so when I left, I reached out to Chris and I said, hey, when you open up tomorrow, go in and look at the video camera at, you know, this time around 3:30, because I want to see if we caught that voice humming.
Yeah.
And so when she looked, we were a little too far away to hear the voice, but there were two voices that came right across our security camera, and one said, there she is,
Yeah,
and the
that's
other says, not so loud next time.
Mhm.
So that was our first instance where we were like, wow, these spirits are really intelligent. And we spent probably, I would say, about 2 months before we opened, just talking to the spirits and saying, hey, you know, people haven't been in here in a long time. This is what we're going to do. These are our intentions, and really introducing them to the tools, finding out what they like, what, you know, will make them communicate, or what they like to use to communicate. And I think that kind of paid off, because
For
we
sure.
kind of, in a way, have that type of relationship. We talk to them on a daily basis. When
Yeah.
teams are coming, I'll go up beforehand and introduce the teams. Sometimes I don't know all the names of everybody, but whatever they provide me, I use that information to essentially introduce. And, you know, we've had some teams that have actually had their name called and stuff that, you know, one guy, his name was John. I think he
Mhm.
was with the Ghost guys, and he said that he's never had his name called, and it got called twice at
Oh,
this
yeah.
location. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty phenomenal, some of the things that they do. And I mean, we were doing a live. I think one of our big catches that we got last month, we were doing a live, and there was like 50 people on, and I was the only one in the building. Christy was in Virginia, and so she was she was moderating it, manning the comments.
Mhm.
And while I was standing there, a full shadow figure just passes in front. You can see the back of his head, shoulders, and he passes by and actually stands there for, a millisecond, which is a long time, in paranormal time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But all these people saw him walk across in front during this live. It was pretty
We
wild.
missed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Darn it.
I feel, because we do spend a lot of time, especially in the jail here, the poly jail.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time in old jails, historic jails. Like, I just found a jail cell, an old jail cell, wood bottom floor, and it looked like the kind that used to put on top of paddy wagons to take them back and forth to camps. And it's like for sale here in my town for $3,000.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like sending it around to everybody. I'm like, oh, what can we use this for? Everybody, let's get together and buy us a jail cell.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, Sonia said she saw the shadow figure on the live. And I feel like when we go into these jails, you don't really know what they're going to give you until, because you have jailers that lived there full time with their families. You had those that were on call type situation to be there, but then you have the inmates. You have those that just came in because they got a little drunk out on the town the night before and had to be in the drunk tank. But you also get the ones that went in there for the drunk tank and didn't make it out. That's a lot of what we get. And so that, I know with Union Springs for Poly Jail, that is something that's, one of the most well-known stories that we have there is of JW, a man who went in because he got a little rowdy and he burned alive. So, I think that what you guys have done is taking this and turning it into a true crime museum because of all the true crime that actually happened behind the walls of this. And now you've got this building that's, a museum. And it's almost like the spirits are like, all right, Miranda's walking up the stairs, y'all, let's get to work. It's work time.
It really
really
is.
respectful to them. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
we really appreciate it. You go above and beyond to make sure that they know, what's going on and your intention.
It's a work family. It's a work family. We got work family. Spirits and ghosts are your work family,
It is. And you're right. I mean, that's, it's fascinating because we'll tell the people when we're talking about certain stories, it doesn't matter. There was a team that was in there that caught a shadow figure rip a picture off the wall, and they caught it on the camera doing it. And so we talk about that and we show that on our flashlight tours. And it's interesting because we'll be up on the second floor where where the power's turned off to turn the lights off. And does not matter as soon as we show that video, and it's all locally on a tablet, so it's not running any Wi-Fi. We can't run Wi-Fi through the stone building, so it's a natural, I mean, there's nothing up there to trigger any type of EMF activity. And the K2s will just go crazy whenever people see that picture fly off the wall. And they jump usually when it happens. And so
we did that. Sorry, my bad.
And so whether they're laughing at the people watching that's amazed, or if they're saying, hey, I did that.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. And we will tell them, in fact, we had a team, I think it was maybe a team that we had last month. They were saying that basically something directed them to read an article, and it was telling them to walk, and to read and news. And so they found the article and they started finding words in that article. The words would they wanted them to read it, and so those words were coming out of whatever tool they were using
Oh, wow.
before they would read them in this
Trying to
article.
tell their story.
Exactly. Exactly. So
wanted them to know that this was real. This isn't, and that's so intelligent,
very.
I know that we talk about this a lot in the paranormal about having locations that have residual and intelligent. But honestly, I don't think in all of our years that we get something like this very often that are so intelligent that they are leading people to tell their story, to give them where to go and types of places to look to be able to tell their story. Like that is like, I think beyond the spectrum of what most of us in the field have ever truly experienced. And so that's really phenomenal. Like I'm sitting here going, all right, Carol, can we go tomorrow?
and obviously, like a lot of places, it doesn't happen every time, but I can name at least 3 teams that have been directed in a direction and have had an intelligent conversation with a spirit based on one of the news articles that we've had on the wall. And so, like, when you think about it, and I think you can appreciate this, having investigated a lot of jails, it really is true that every sentence has a story. And so all these people who are in there, this jail's in operation for 120 years. And you have to think of all the people that's come through those doors, not just ones who, served time in there, but the families that have come in to visit, or the people who were just in for an overnight at the drunk tank. There have been thousands of people that have been in.
I know one thing that we do go back on when we're in there, because we've done, even, at other locations, but we've done them where they're completely primitive and they don't have anything. Like you said, upstairs, there's no AC, there's nothing, they can't run Wi-Fi through there. But, so having that primitive way, we know that what we're getting is not being tampered with outside interference, because there's nothing that could be causing it.
It's nice too that you have stuff in the museum that they can use as a tool. To direct us, like, hey, look, I'm trying to tell you something. Look, read this, that's
Can
we go on?
What was that?
I was gonna say, it's kind of like, we experience it with them. Like when we go in during really cold nights when because there wasn't anything to heat them up. There was one singular fireplace that was down where the jailer's family was at, or near the kitchen. And that was to heat up a 3-story jail, and that's all there was. So most of them didn't have, anywhere to keep warm. And then I know we did a investigation in 110 heat index last July. We didn't have any air conditioning. We didn't have any fans or anything like that, but we stayed through the night to let them understand that we're doing this so that we can understand what you endured. And I think that gives them a sense of respect, And
I'll add on that, because we do have, we're a great location to investigate either in the summer or the winter, because we are climate controlled and we do have power now. But the cells, especially on the 3rd floor in maximum security, and then the main cells downstairs, and then on the 2nd floor there, we do have to flip the power off with the breaker to turn the lights off, because they just didn't have the comforts of being able to turn their own lights on and off. So I actually love that, because you can get you can use the heat and air. We do allow you to turn it on or off if you prefer. We just ask you don't change the temperature up or down. But a lot of people opt to leave the air off, because it is independent from the light source power. And so when we flip the breaker, you lose the power to the electrical sockets there, as well as the lights. And so that cuts down on a lot of contamination by being able to do that.
And it again gives you that primitive, investigation that we like to call it, because you don't have anything that can give you any false readings or
Exactly.
you know what you getting, what you getting. You know, and I feel like it's so awesome, and you know, getting to be able to work in a location like that all the time, like and I love hearing all of the new things that you guys have coming. So I know it's been amazing. So you have you guys have a new, well, you have a new season of Ghost Biker Explorations coming this fall.
Yes.
And that's still in the works. So we'll get to tune into that. And so she'll release that information to everyone. And
that
so,
will be every Tuesday during the month of October at 9 p.m. Eastern when those drop. Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, I spent 21 years as a marketing director in the corporate world before totally, you know, uprooting, moving back here to my hometown and leaving corporate and coming in and doing this. So it really is a dream come true to be able to take, you know, a hobby of paranormal investigating that became a passion, and combining that with the motorcycle riding and stuff that I do with Ghost Biker and the show. And that's actually my job, you know, of working through paranormal and through dark tourism to preserve and restore these historic locations that would be torn down, you know. So so
you
to be
also
able
do photography, and you have your art as well.
Yeah.
So anybody that's seen you out at events, you know, paranormal or conventions, they've got to see your art. It's phenomenal. So if you don't, make sure that you guys check that out. It's great. She does a lot of awesome work.
Well, thank you.
So it's, you know, we got to meet you at Deep South Paracon. Do you have any Paracons coming up that you're going to be attending this year, or have you?
You know, this year I've sort of taken a step back on the conventions because we've been so busy with the jail and because I moved. Yeah, and you know, I moved back here, and I'm in the process of restoring my grandparents' old farmhouse. But I was going to do the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I was slated to speak at that, but it didn't work out. I had to back out this year for that one. But I'm actually doing a lot of motorcycle events and a lot of Harley events. We're coupling this year. We're coupling a lot of those with the jail and offering, we call them bars to bars rides, which handlebars and jail bars, where we partner with other local jails. And we also partner with local small mom and pop general store type restaurants. And so you get to go on a haunted motorcycle ride with several different stops and, you know, a food stop, that sort of thing. And usually a museum stop. Yes, we've got a bunch of those scheduled up. I think we are doing more, we're doing more of the local events. I'm still promoting Ghost Biker because obviously I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ghost Biker.
Right.
But we're doing more of the conventions, like local festivals and stuff, to really promote the jail and promote rugby this year. I don't think I have an actual convention. I think I have an actual convention until September of this year is when my next convention is. We've got a couple different events. I've been working with TJ and TJ Justice and author JB Coates doing one of their events there at Octagon Hall in August 17th.
Awesome.
It's one of their murder mystery investigations.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to work with. But this year it's been interesting. It's been the first year. Normally I have a convention or a Ghost Biker event every month, sometimes a couple times a month. But this year I've really toned it back a lot to really focus on.
When we first met you were traveling a lot.
You were all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, how does she do it? She's got a lot going on.
It's been tough, you know, and Chris and I, our investigations are totally separate from each other because she's the founder of Soul Sisters, and
she'll be on the show next month. Chris will.
Okay. And so, of course, I'm the founder of Ghost Spiker Explorations, and so it's been interesting to keep all of that kind of separate and still do our own things, but then come together because again, for us, this is our full-time job now, which we've really hustled and really tried to come up with unique options for things for people to do with tours. And we got the escape room there in the jail, and different speaking events, talking about historic preservation. So it's been a lot.
Yeah. And I will say, guys, everyone out there listening, if you don't have, Carol's got the shirt on. These are the most comfortable shirts, okay, that we have ever purchased. They are so comfortable. Like, we are always wearing a Ghost Biker shirt. We have them for a year, so we're gonna have to buy new ones.
I've got new ones coming out. New designs coming out.
Are they the same material? Because they're so comfy.
They're going to be the same material. Yeah. And what's cool about that one, I've got the classic Ghost Biker shirt that's got the kickstands up on it that a lot of the bikers love. But the one that Carol's wearing, that's the one. It's got our slogan when we start the show. I always say every town has a story that's been passed down through the generations. And, I always like to tell people, we love the big commercial locations. I mean, I want you to come to the jail, that sort of thing. But I always like to challenge people and tell them to close their eyes and touch a map. And I guarantee anywhere you touch on that map, there's going to be a story related to that location. It may not be, worldwide like Lizzie Borden House or, some of these stories, but I guarantee you there's a lady in white, there's a crybaby bridge, there's, something there in that area you touch. And so go out and, look for these smaller locations, look for the hidden gems. And that's the stuff that I really like to cover on my show are the places.
And places we do.
And people can go back and watch last season where you actually did Ghost Biker Explorations live. And we were actually able to watch your investigation for the most part live and be able to comment and interact during it. And you actually did you did rugby.
I did rugby. I always try to do a theme. And so this past season 6, the theme was either haunted villages, haunted homesteads, or museums that at one point in time used to be like a homestead or a village. And the interesting thing about this is actually every location that was one of the locations that I highlighted had either never been investigated before, or they were essentially virgin locations that hadn't been investigated very, very much. And so what I did was I worked as a partnership with each of these places. I think rugby was probably the one that had been investigated the most, but we covered, Haygood Mill there in South Carolina. We did the Heritage Museum in London, Kentucky. I was able to go up to the Clover Hill Village, which they were able to utilize that video, and now they've opened a great after dark program to preserve the village. And then the Country Music Hall of Fame in Rockcastle, Kentucky. And so what I was able to do was really try to help build awareness of these locations, because most of these locations, the way they earn their money is through donations. And it's a very, very cheap fee to come in during the day and do these tours. And so there was somebody usually from the village that investigated with me. And by the end of the season, we had 300 plus people tuning in for every live, which was amazing.
And it was so much fun. Like, we truly we've talked about it even after it ended for months. I know a lot of our group, like Sonia, myself, Brandon, like we all talked about how awesome it was to be able to jump in every week and be able to say, did you see that?
Exactly. I mean, y'all became my eyes and ears, and really people sent in timestamps. The goal, and I have kind of failed at my second part of that goal, was the goal was to actually re-release as a produced episode.
Yeah.
And then that way you had the lives, and then you had the produced episodes that essentially showed the things that maybe we didn't catch in the moment. Plus, I also investigated at these locations for a few hours afterwards, and so there's unseen footage. The goal is to get those put out before the season releases in October. But I think with the success of the past season, I think that's probably how this season is going to go. We're probably going to do a mixture of live and produced episodes.
I had you up on the Samsung on the
Nice.
TV, like mirroring it. My husband's like, "What is she doing?" I was like, "Shh, just watch. Just pay attention."
It really did turn out well.
I can't explain it all.
Yeah.
And the collective energy of the folks that watched, it was truly amazing. And I learned so much from this because I'm a type A perfectionist down to the point, and when you do these when you do these investigations, and even when you're filming, it's like I've got my processes and procedures. And with the lives, you never know what's going to happen. Good, bad, ugly. And in a lot of these locations, you don't have power, you don't have Wi-Fi, you don't have the amenities that people who's not doing it, they don't realize. And so I was honestly amazed that, like, by the third episode, I guess it was like the second or third episode, we had a couple times where the connection dropped, and I had to run to a spot.
You were running all over the place.
Yes.
It was like you were hustling, but it's like we felt like we were giving you part of our energy, like you can do it.
Yeah, and people
can do it, Miranda.
People stayed, and I was just blown away because, like, I would be gone for like 5 minutes, and I'd pop on there, and there'd be 50 people sitting on waiting. And I really learned.
Popcorn. Gotta go popcorn.
Yeah, I really learned how forgiving people are in those instances, because they're like, everything does not have to be perfect. And people actually get to see the raw and the real of how an investigation is. That it's like, if you don't do this all the time, and you all do events, so how it is, you kind of have to do things a little differently with events, because you don't want to lose the attention of the people that's with you. They don't always understand that a lot of the investigations are just sitting and waiting and hoping that something's going to happen.
Even at our events, we have different sections. So we'll have like the SLS over here, and we'll have the REM pod over here. Then we'll have an area where people can come and do an Estes session, or and usually when we're doing the Estes session, it's usually Carol and myself. And while they're under, I'm still going through, and I'm still telling them about different pieces of equipment, and how most of the time we're just sitting here talking to ourselves. And so I try to reiterate, because I want to put them in our shoes about what, and still keep their attention. So
we had a really good group the last time. Usually how you have any questions, and nobody really says anything. Boy, they had all kinds of questions. I mean, it was a good group we had last time.
Yeah,
they participated.
I wasn't the only one talking.
Yeah.
It's hard, and because it's their investigation, and so a lot of the time I'll do a 360 session when we're doing a guided ghost hunt, just to get people to talk, because it's amazing. People talk big game, and then they get in there, and then they got nothing to say, nothing to ask. And it's like, come on, I can't sit here and ask all the questions, and then and hope the spirits will interact with just me. It's like, give us something. There's no question that's stupid. There's no,
and that's it. Like, I'll even go with it. Like, and when I'm doing an Estes session and Carol's under, or whomever's under, and I'm walking around talking to people, and, I just continue having a conversation as if they were right here, and they'll be like, oh, hush. And I'm like, oh, don't be rude. Let people talk.
Exactly.
We had some pretty gifted people at the last one as well.
Nice.
So that added to, and everybody was, real happy that she was like a psychic medium, I guess. And she was seeing soldiers and what was going on. So, I mean, that one turned out really well. We try to let them do what they want,
Yeah,
exactly.
We don't give them a group and say you have to stay with this group. But we have enough volunteers too to be able to not have to keep people in groups in these wide open battlefields. We just have people stationed around the battlefield, and they have their lights, and they know what color, they have the person's wearing, because we always put the glow stick necklaces on. But we always try to make sure that we're there if they need us, but we don't overstay our welcome.
Just tell them, there's a section here, we're doing this. There's a section there. If you don't want to do it, don't. You got the glow necklace, so we won't. We can see you, because this is a big battlefield and it's dark.
It's dark, and there's a lot that goes on out
because you paid. We want you to enjoy your time. So
it's your investigation.
Just take off, and do
you're paying, and that's what we do. A lot of people don't. We're, as of January 1, we are officially a nonprofit. And so, like, our battlefields and all of that, we take zero. Everything goes directly back to
the park. It's so nice going back and seeing new things, and or like,
it's like, because you see what they're putting the money to. Like, now we have, instead of dirt roads to drive in on, we have paved roads. And, they're building huts and replicas of buildings that used to be in the old towns and in the old town that was there. So being able to be a part of recreating this history and preserving, and the way that they keep the preservation historically accurate is even more amazing, just to see it grow. And, I think that's the biggest thing, is that those that are out here like us, that put everything that they have into helping preserve the historical locations and keeping the historical integrity of these locations intact, and all while still having fun while you're doing it. It's like, and people, especially in the South, and I know that, this is something that you and Chris both have, with the After Darks workshops and stuff. But, there's so many locations that are so terrified to bring in after dark, paranormal investigations or ghost hunts or ghost tours. And it happens more so in the South. Up north, Virginia, DC, even Savannah, but mostly in the North, you could go all over the place. And they're like, every weekend, every night of the week, there's a ghost hunt or a ghost tour. But in the South, it is not common, especially in the rural areas.
Yes.
And so protest while you're there.
Oh yeah, we've had the protests.
Well, thankfully, they've not. Our the mayor was really open to what we were doing, but we were very transparent about. I went ahead and had a full marketing. I had the logo designed. I had some of the merchandise designed. We wanted to show that we weren't just going to open the doors for paranormal investigation. We wanted to hit everyone from the true crime nut to the history buff to the paranormal investigator, or even just to the novice that wanted a more immersive experience with ghost hunting, but maybe never has done it before, only watched on TV. So we wanted to have something for everybody, and we wanted to show, if you walk in, you're not going to see ghosts. You're not going to see skeletons. You're not going to see stuff in your face about us being haunted.
Yeah.
And we presented it and telling them that basically the history is going to be the face of this. The paranormal is going to be the driver that keeps our doors open.
Yep, exactly.
And, we were upfront about that. We showed them numbers because Chris has done extensive studies on all of this. She just, completed the largest paranormal study that's out there from location owners, investigators, and ghost walk companies, and got lots of numbers from, people who are doing this. And so this, from her first study that she did, we were able to go in with some solid numbers and show. And then we had to also make some promises that we were going to be very particular about things. We have a don't say demon clause, and we will sue you if you put in your videos, and we do not welcome people that put, that are demon chasers, there at the jail. It's just a fact, because these people may get their clicks from all of this, but the thing is, it's the people here in the small towns and the location owners that's having to clean up the mess from,
Exactly.
the people that come in screaming
That's
demons.
what I'm working on now. That's what the location that we have coming up. And people don't understand that just because you see it on TV doesn't mean that it's true.
Yeah.
And it takes a
exactly
lot.
Right.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of time to uncover the real truth. And it's unfair to the spirits that are left behind and the disrespect that you're given those spirits that are there, because you've now tarnished something that they held dear, and you tarnished their reputation and who they were when they were alive. And I feel like when we're doing this and we're going to these locations, we have to show them the respect that they deserve. And Marcy and I, we've talked extensively on this. And you can't go to a location, scream that it's demons, and expect somebody not to be upset by that. I mean, it's spirit to be upset by that.
A lot of people are upset by that.
Yeah.
And
it should
living,
be just like here. You go to someone's house, be respectful. When you go to the spirit's house, be respectful. I mean,
respectful.
You may not see them or whatever. They're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
It's their
and
house.
they still have to be there, and they're living eternity in this location because they're here.
It's their home.
And so we get into we spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of our own personal time with these locations and building a relationship with our spirits. We do. They trust us. And then you find people, like you've got Dr. Chris, we've got Louisiana spirits, and we have such a great community that we all can work towards eradicating the ones that are there to just get the clicks, and showing the real truth and the real history that is out there. And
exactly. They'll get, there's no denying it. The dark, the negative, the demons, they get the clicks, they get the they get the tourism dollars, the followers, the bookings. But if you really take the time, and and sometimes it's subtle, but if you really take the time and you go in with the right intention and go in, I think that getting those historical responses, getting those very simple, sometimes almost hard to see and hear experiences, unless you're really watching the subtleties. I find that way more interesting than somebody screaming demon of
sometimes you don't have to say a thing, just sit.
We love our quiet time.
We just sit in silence. We sit in that bullpen up there. That's if it's on the opposite side of this picture, but we sit in that bullpen and we just sit in pure silence.
And then every once in a while we'll be like, because we've been there so long.
Like, all right, we've been here a while. But we sit in silence and just respectfully be there. We don't have to say anything. We can just sit here. You don't have to respond. You don't have to do anything, because it's not a circus. It's not we're not sitting here acting, and neither should you. You shouldn't have to put on a show for us. But if you want to interact, you can, and I feel like it's just being respectful, and it's great to see that there are so many people out there that are like us, that are there to save and preserve the history. And we're probably gonna rack your brain about this at another time off the show, but tell everyone where they can find you at and buy some of this awesome merch, and they can also get your artwork too.
So that's actually, with the artwork, that's actually how I fund my series. Is I draw the locations that I visit and the locations that I highlight on my show. I'm a little bit behind on a few of the drawings, but I think I've got about 10 or 12 out there right now. And so all the funds for that go to fund my travels and fund my web series. But you can watch all the past 6 seasons of Ghost Biker Explorations on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook channel, or excuse me, Facebook page, YouTube channel, or www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. I've also got a TikTok page that I need to be a little more active on. I tend to do more watching than posting on there, but I need to start posting some like that.
Every time I do a video on there, I'll put at the bottom and I'll tag you and be like, Miranda, you need to post a video.
Yes, please, because I've got so much that I need to post on there, and I'm just one of those lurkers that sit there and watch and don't say anything.
And I'm a true crime junkie, so I get on there and I'm like completely invested.
Yes,
like the JP Miller and Micah Miller.
Oh my gosh,
over there right now. Like I sit there and I type it in, and my husband's like, "Let me guess, you're watching something new?" And I'm like, "Yes, I already filtered it out for the last 24 hours."
That's right. That's right. And then I'm on Instagram under Runaway Vixen, which that has my photography and that sort of thing. If you're interested in haunted motorcycle rides or Harley events, we do those through Ghost Biker Explorations. We have all of that posted on the event page there, on the website, or also on Facebook. And so, like I said, you can go watch all of those seasons there. We've got them broken down into different playlists. You can also follow us on the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page, historicscottcojail.com. That's got all of our events and everything going on with that. And then also the Historic Scott County Jail YouTube page. We host a podcast there every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time called the Jailhouse Informant Podcast. And then I host a weekly podcast on the Ghost Biker page called the Ghost Biker Garage Live. And then you can also follow Historic Rugby under Historic Rugby After Dark. Or if you go to historieshighwayshaunts.com, we've got a link to the jail page as well as to the rugby page. And then, of course, mine and my business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner, who she's with Soul Sisters Paranormal. And you'll get to find out more about her next month when she's on the show as well.
No, she'll be here. Yay! Well, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. We're going to have to do it again. We're going to have to get together because we've been saying it for a year. We're going to have to get together and get something going, an event or just a girls' weekend or something.
That's right. Just lunch at least.
And lunch, we'll find a cute little cafe somewhere or some ice
cream. Meet in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah. Just meet in the middle somewhere. We'll find some historic location and, just go have a weekend of fun or something or a day. So it has been fabulous having you. Everyone, make sure you go follow Miranda Young, Ghost Biker Explorations. She is on all of the outlets. I promise I will start reminding her to post on TikTok. So everyone have a great night and please share this out. We will talk with everyone soon. Thank you.
Bye, Miranda. Thank you.
Bye.